bank operating model and infrastructure is heavily influenced by the post-crisis world, which requires greater capital, where there's less liquidity and indeed less margin and return for banks on the capital they expend. That's causing them to think about operating models and drive down the cost of operating model in every way that they can, pulling levers such as simplification of entity structures, such as offshoring and outsourcing, and of course by sharing operational cost across as many different entities and business units as the bank that exist. So some of the key challenges that banks face in adapting their models include the regulatory requirement to be resolvable. And resolution in this case means proving that individual entities and business units within a bank can still receive services from operational functions post-crisis and during a resolution. And that to some extent goes against some of the moves that banks have made to create shared service models. So balancing efficiency versus the resolvability requirements of regulators is a key balancing act that banks need to understand. So not tackling these challenges is not really an option. The requirement to drive down cost and become more efficient is clearly an existential challenge that banks are facing. At the same time, regulators' requirements around resolvability and the resilience of operating models is something that is just a cost of doing business. Banks will need to therefore understand how do they balance that equation, and how do they explain to their regulator how both efficiency measures that they're taking can reconcile to the resolution requirements and the resilience requirements that the regulators have. Thinking about the operating model and how it best aligns to your business requirements, and amongst those includes carving out operations processes into separate companies which deliver services to the business units and entities of the bank. That model may be appropriate for some banks. For other banks, actually a more formalised approach to creating service level arrangements, documenting the services that are required, formalising contracts and the methods through which different parts of the firm get paid for providing services may well be sufficient. And striking that balance and understanding that balance is key to the way that you're going to respond to this challenge. So in summary, the cost pressures on banks are not going away. Living in a regulated world is not new, but some of the resolution requirements that are impacting upon operating models are only just beginning to crystallise. Understanding how those resolution requirements can be balanced against efficiency requirements is key for banks. PwC has spent a lot of time exploring that, and we're very happy to talk to banks about our views on how we can help.